Good afternoon, students. Today we will see about a new topic in infectious disease, that is malaria. So, malaria is a mosquito-borne febrile disease caused by the malarial parasites. So, malaria is a one kind of protozoa infection, a disease caused by the members of protozoan genus Plasmodium, a widespread group of sporozoans that parasite affect the human liver and RBC. Humans are infected with Plasmodium protozoa when bitten by an infective female Anopheles mosquito vector. Symptoms may appear within the weeks to months or even years. There are four specimens of malarial parasites. First one is Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium ovale, and Plasmodium malariae. Malaria found in about 100 countries in the world, and maximum prevalence of malaria is found in warm and humid environment and mostly seen in July to November in India. Optimal temperature and humidity for the development of parasite is 20 to 30 Fahrenheit and about 60 percentage of humidity. Incubation period, if you see, so for falciparum that will be 9 to 14 days, for vivax 8 to 17 days, for ovale 16 to 18 days, and for malaria 18 to 40 days. If we see the pathology, so whenever this insects bite to the skin of the body, and through which it will be piercing the skin and penetrating into the circulation and reaching somehow to the liver and start damaging RBCs whenever it comes in form of active cells. So it's bite from the infected mosquito. Parasites start reproducing inside the liver, and some parasites remaining dormant for years before becoming activated. In the bloodstream, further reproduction occurs within the RBC, and parasite reproduction results in further RBC infection. Then, cycles of RBC infections and destruction coincide with the fevers and chills, and dormant versions of the parasites are ingested by another parasite. So, on the female Anopheles, insects will bring this kind of virus, or they consider to be as a carrier of them. So, what are the clinical investigations? All clinically suspected malaria causes require laboratory examinations and confirmation. First, with the history collection and physical examination, we'll go for a malarial parasite test, that is MP test, the peripheral smear test, bone marrow test, and in case of hematological examination, all kind of HB, TC, DC, ESR. Then differential diagnosis complicated for uncomplicated malaria. It considers other illness such as upper respiratory tract infection, pneumonia, measles, dengue, influenza, typhoid fever, pharyngitis, tonsillitis, ear infection. This may be suffering for more than one illness when patient has such kind of symptoms together. So, considering this kind of symptoms together, how this mosquito start, or when insects inside the skin, and how it will be transformed to the liver, that we will see. So whenever the mosquito are sitting over the skin and piercing and entering in the skin and forming in the spirozotes and reaching to the superficial capillaries and lymph vessels. From this lymph vessel it try to reach to the liver. So from liver cell it start releasing the merozoite and start penetrating the RBCs and start destruction of the RBCs, and ultimately lead to the development of the garmatocytes and uptake during the blood meal. This is how it start developing, damaging inside the RBCs, and is because of damage to the RBCs, there will be damage to the spleen as well. So man will be considered as the intermediate host, and mosquito will be considered a definitive host, and sporozoites are infective forms present in the salivary glands of female Anopheles mosquito. After bite, it enter into the infected part and through the blood circulation reaches to the different areas of the body, especially the liver, and where is breaking the three channels, that is RBC membrane channel, PVM channel and parasite plasma membrane transporter, and reaching inside the hemozyne and chrystosome and endosome and start destructing the RBC as well. This is how the pathophysiology starts. Now, sign and symptoms of malaria. So, if include the symptoms, that will be central headache, systemic fever, muscular fatigue and pain, especially back pain, skin chills and sweating, respiratory dry cough, enlargement of spleen, and stomach have a nausea and vomiting. High fever with headache, restlessness, anorexia, diarrhea, and arthralgia. Vomiting anemia is caused by hemolysis because of destruction of RBC. Chills with rigors, hepatosplenomegaly, convulsions, and in case of severe condition, it may go up to coma. This is our paroxysmal attack of malaria fever found in three different stages: cold stage, hot stage, and sweating stage. Consider the treatment part. Basically, there are two kind of drugs which are most commonly used for the treatment of this malaria, that is chloroquine and primaquine. Chloroquine will be used for the 3 days, initially on the basis of 150 milligram base per tablet and 25 milligram per kg divided over 3 days. So initial first is 10 milligram per kg start, then the 5 milligram base on the second day and 5 milligram base on the third day. This is how one tablet of chloroquine phosphate to 50 milligram equivalent to the 150 milligram of base, and calculation dose of the chloroquine is based on the base, not on the salt form. One tablet of primaquine phosphate contains 7.5 milligram of base. Primaquine will be start continuously with the chloroquine with 0.5 milligram base per kg 4 times in a 24 hours for 2 weeks. Check for G6PD deficiency, start before primaquine. In case of mild to moderate deficiency, primaquine start with the 0.75 milligram per kg body weight given to once per week. In case of severe G6PD deficiency, primaquine is contraindicated, should not be used. Other managements of the malaria including early detection, early treatment, mosquito control measures and community measures. So in early detection, first fever case in the early fever cases by community house to house visit by the health worker in the every 15 days, and early administration of the chloroquine CHQ in all fever, collection of the blood films thick and thin from fever cases and laboratory examination for MP malaria parasite, and administration of medical treatment of positive cases of malaria has to be done. Second one is a mosquito measure. So there are three types: anti-adult measure, that is DDT spraying. Number 2 is anti-larvae measure, that is larvicidal operation. And number 3 is protection against the mosquito bites by means of nets, repellents, cream, etc. Method of control is removing or poisoning the breeding ground for the mosquitoes or the aquatic habit of the larva stages. For example, by filling or applying oil to the places with standing water, spraying of the DDT, early management and disease surveillance, monitoring and evaluation drug and insecticide resistance monitoring. Like how we are using the mosquito nets, use insect repellents like coil and all, close windows, risk of getting bitten reduced with that, and preventing malaria mind before the madness. First is awareness, that is recognizing the malaria. B is bind prevention, that is controlling mosquitoes by different ways. Third one is C, chemoprophylaxis, that is use preventive medication. And fourth one is diagnosis, early recognitions or diagnosis of the disease. National Malaria Eradication Program by Government of India launched this in 1953, and National Eradication Program consists various measures, that is administering anti-malarial drugs, chloroquine 10 mg per kg for 3 days, and encodiaquine with 500 mg, sulfamethoxypyrazine 5 mg, and 25 mg pyrimethamine with 500 mg sulfadoxine. The program achieved good success. This is how the control of malaria treatment and prevention can be done, but it required an early prevention as well as treatment to be considered as early as possible to prevent the damage to the different structures, especially the liver, and other morbidity can be saved with the help of early treatment. Good afternoon, students. Today we will see about the generalized management of myocardial infarction. So basically, it is considered in two parts: non-pharmacological and pharmacological. So first of all, non-pharmacological will include about counseling and education of patient, lifestyle measures, smoking cessation, avoid alcohol intake, diet and nutrition, salt restriction, and physical activity including exercise. In case of pharmacological management, there will be a thrombolytic agents, anticoagulation agents, antidepressant agents, antiplatelet agents, lipid lowering drugs, vasodilators. Others will include about analgesics, anti-ulcer drugs, like that. Now, if you see the algorithm for the treatment of MI, so in case of myocardial infarction, either in the pre-hospital or on arrival, then will be a GTN spray along with the oxygen and pain relief, admission to the hospital with aspirin and thrombolytic therapy. During the admission, add beta blockers and AC inhibitor along with the insulin if the patient is diabetes, and consider the revascularization or angioplasty, stenting or arterial bypass. For the long term, we can go for rehabilitation classes for aspirin, beta blockers, AC inhibitor, and statins. So in case of you see the myocardial infarction clinical risk factor high and low, high will be directly go for a coronary angiogram or stable anatomy or viable myocardium, then we can go for a revascularization. In case of medium or low risk factors, we can assess the LV function along with the ischemia, and exercise tolerance play the major role. After the rule out of exercise tolerance on the high risk, again it will go for coronary angiogram. If it is a medium risk or low risk, then patient can go for either a surgical option as